Hello, happy
Happy
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So glad to just explore and begin to connect with fellow experts in the field. And
Absolutely.
so we have a really interesting topic today. Um, there is a trend where people are interested in just getting a mobile home, or I'm just going to get an RV instead of purchasing a house.
Yeah.
And so I'm here with master lender John Owens, rock star. And so as we're, navigating this current economic climate, figuring out what way to go with, do I rent, do I buy, interest rates, what do I do? Do I just, get a camper and travel the world? The more information we have, the more informed we can be. So, John Owens is
Yeah.
here with
Movement mortgage.
Movement
Yeah.
Mortgage, and he is going to share from a lender's perspective what that looks like for those that are curious about, let me just, get a camper, let me just go travel the world a bit, let me just pull a hitch on my truck, or let me just get a single wide, double wide. So as we delve in here, though, John, tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about yourself, and thank you so much for
No
your
problem.
time today.
Yeah, I've been in the business since late 2002. So right about 20 years doing mortgages and navigating a lot of climates, getting through 2008 when the market crashed, and then back to where we are now, where things are a little different than they were 9 months ago. So it's always changing environment in the lending world. There's always different markets, buyer's market, seller's market. Rates are higher, rates are lower. Good time to buy, never a good time to buy. A lot of different things change in this industry, and I think it's always a good time to buy versus renting. When you're renting, you're helping build somebody else's equity. You're helping them build their net worth, and then the minute you own your own home, you start building your own net worth. You start building your own equity, your own savings. So instead of putting money towards somebody else's retirement and their future, you can actually start putting it in investing in your own future.
Mhm.
So I think it's always a good time to buy, regardless of where rates are or things are. It's like when rates go up in this environment that we're in, you hear a lot of people saying, I'm going to wait till the rates go down. Everybody else is thinking the same thing. It's kind of like Black Friday shopping. Everybody knows exactly when to go and get in line for the same products, and you're fighting that battle with everybody else. So in my eyes, when there's less competition, there's less people going after the same house. You have a better chance of getting a house that you really want. You may pay a little bit higher interest rate today, but you can always refinance in the future when rates drop.
And we may should chat another time. We have some visuals to include about the refinance and whatnot,
Yeah,
because as much as we can show and tell with the numbers, but
absolutely.
um, again, the more perspectives we have from, we can make 360 decisions.
Yeah.
So just starting out, John, what are your thoughts of, if I come and say, hey, you know what, John, instead of buying a house right now, I think I'm just going to go get a trailer, or and put it on some land. From a lender's perspective, what does that look like?
I mean, from a lender's perspective, a lot of times it's getting with the mobile home manufacturer themselves. If you own your own land, a lot of lenders can't do a loan if the mobile home's ever been moved from its original site, or if you own land and you just want to purchase one and have it moved to the site. A lot of times we can only lend on ones that are already there, already retired. The tag's been retired. Mobile homes have VIN numbers, kind of like a car. So there's a system that shows if they've ever been moved, if they're permanently affixed to the property, if the tag's been retired. So a lot of times if you have your own land and you want to move one or go get one, a lot of times just going to the manufacturer that builds the mobile homes themselves will be the best place to go, to get one moved to your own land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what that interest rate variation is of getting the loan straight from the mobile home manufacturer versus a lender such as yourself, who shops a gamut of
I think I could relate it to a lot of like the builders in-house lenders. Most of the builders in-house lenders are owned by the builder. So you're not necessarily getting the best possible rates, best possible costs, even though they offer incentives. A lot of times they're building it into the rates. So I think if you go to the mobile home manufacturer as well, it's kind of like they have a monopoly of, they're typically the only ones that can do it. So you may pay a little higher, and it would be a refinance opportunity later.
Okay.
Once you've had the property on once it's there, then we can refinance you about 6 months later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as much as we can think of, what are three takeaways from that? The inspiration from this film is, or this video share is actually because this is an actual trend now. There are people that are picking up and going and getting an RV or getting a mobile home, not modular, not we're not necessarily talking about modular here, mobile home, which has the VIN number
Yeah.
as John mentioned. That's one of the differences. But this is a thing where people are, oh, let me just go get a trailer. Let me go get let me go get an RV. Let me
Yeah.
go get a mobile home. And so sometimes people are making these decisions just because of not really sure. There's a lot of information in the air, right? Depending on who you're talking to, people, put a lot of paralysis around the interest rates.
Yeah.
Some people are looking at the price of homes. But from a lender's perspective, what would you say is a good focal point? Because as we know, and just a cap here, in Florida, you want to be mindful of the whole, even modular home
Yeah.
or even an RV as your only residence, your only source of dwelling place, just because, there is hurricane season and those winds can come through and, those units being as structurally sound,
Yeah.
you would want to be mindful of that. So, John, what would you say is the next step for those that are just trying to in that valley of decision, trying to figure out, hey, let me just go get a mobile home, put it on
Yeah.
some land because I'll be able to save so much money.
Yeah, I think what I hear most of the time is like they're looking that way because they're cheaper typically.
Mm-hmm.
And they're typically cheaper because they usually depreciate in value, kind of like a
Okay.
car, or most homes are appreciating in value and you're building wealth. A lot of times in a mobile home over the years, they tend to depreciate a little bit. The land stays worth typically more than a mobile home over time. So as it may be cheaper up front, I would just say get with a professional if you feel like you maybe can't afford where home prices are today on a normal single family home or a condo or a townhome or anything like that. I would just say get with a professional, have your credit looked at, and have them give you an actual plan of attack on what steps to take to get your debt ratios in line, to maybe get your credit up, to ask if there's maybe a non-occupying co-borrower like a family member that can maybe help co-sign. It's very popular when we got young kids coming out of college, or we just got folks that just don't have everything that they need, but they may have a parent or aunt or uncle that's in a better spot that maybe can help co-sign. They don't have to live in the house. There's what's called a non-occupying co-borrower. So there's a lot of time, there's a lot of ways to figure out to get you into a home that you actually can't afford,
Mm-hmm.
that you may not qualify for today at this moment, but you can ask a few people in your family that may be in a
Mm-hmm.
better spot that could help co-sign. So it would just help get you into something that's going to help build that equity, build that net worth, build your generational wealth, and something that's not going to depreciate, something that's not going to be maybe harder to insure. Like you said, the
Mm.
hurricanes and the mobile homes and the wind. So there's a lot of things that go into those. And I get a lot of people like to have a lot of land, and it's right for some people for sure. But I think from what we hear most on the lending side is they're looking that way because they're cheaper than the average price
Mm.
point maybe they see on a single family home or a condo or townhome.
Thank you for those insights,
Yeah.
John. We as consumers, anytime we're making purchases, especially buying a home is a major, the largest purchase for most individuals. Again, the more information we have, the more informed we could be. So for those, especially in the Florida market, don't be paralyzed by fear and think that just, getting an RV or a single wide or whatnot on some land is most ideal because think of long term. What does it look like to pass a mobile home down to your children? Okay. Is that doable?
I
You
mean,
know?
yeah, I mean, you
um,
can definitely leave it, just like a car, you can pass it down, but at the same time, it's like if you're really trying to focus on long-term investing or long-term generational wealth or net worth, building equity in a single family home or a condo, townhome is definitely going to appreciate much more than a single wide or a double wide, trailer over time because they tend to depreciate. And insurance companies will be the first ones to tell you that because it is much harder to get insurance on some mobile homes, especially the age of them. Newer ones obviously are better, But the older they are, it's definitely harder to insure, and the values tend to go down on those over time versus other homes.
And so again, as John mentioned, thank you for that reminder,
problem.
because, talking with professionals and, professionals that have an investment mindset, have an investment strategy, because, regardless of talking with a realtor or a lender, for the first time home buyers, for those, young families or whatnot, when you talk with a realtor or a lender that is investment minded, that is on team you for the long term, they're going to advise you for the long term. Think of long-term strategy. Your first home, be mindful of even the price point, thinking of, is this rent, what you've been paying for rent monthly, what is that in comparison to what you make, and can you, for those married couples, can you live off of one income, basing that even in your home shopping purchase, just those options. So John, is there anything else from a lender's standpoint that we'd like to leave as a gold nugget today, just for those that are thinking about that, as they call it, nomad lifestyle?
Yeah, I would just say don't be fearful of what you see online or on the internet, or where you hear from peers about stuff not being affordable, or I can't afford home prices now, or the rates are too high right now. A lot of times, I do this for a living. I've been doing it for a long time. Most people pay more in rent than they can buy a house for. Their payment on a house that they can purchase is going to be lower than what they're paying in rent currently. In most cases, even where the average home price is now, a lot of times landlords know that they can charge a lot of money. Rents are continuing to go up. And in most cases, you can buy your own home for less money than what you're paying for current rent. So I would say, if you're fearful, or you heard rates are high, or now's not a good time, I would say start. Just apply. It's free to apply online. It's free to get a plan of attack on what steps to take to improve your credit if your credit's not where it needs to be to buy right now, or just to know exactly where you stand. And if you have a payment in mind that you're comfortable with, a lender can backdoor its way in and say, okay, these are the average price point of homes that you can afford, and keep your payment at $1,200. That's where you want to keep your payment with taxes and insurance. Or if you're comfortable at $1,500, here's what that price range looks like. And then the realtors that are professional realtors will go search the internet and the MLS and find exactly price range homes in the area you want to be in. And it's definitely attainable. Anybody that said they cannot afford something, or it's not a good time, rates are too high, everybody can afford, homes in most cases less than what you're paying currently in rent. So I would say don't be discouraged. Be encouraged. It's free to apply. It's free to know where you're at. It's free to know where you stand, and then just start having that energy to get into something of your own.
And I had asked John the other day, because I had a client I was working with. And so you have a website where you can do this, right, John, in case there's anyone that is curious to say, oh man, you know what? That's true. And by the way, rents have increased steadily over the past 4 years. We just was looking at the data. We just saw a dip from this past month. That was the first decline in rent prices, but rent has increased over the past 4 years. And, you really don't need me to tell you, but there's been some people that have had their rents doubled. I remember there was a lady who was she's a server down in Naples, Florida, and she said her rents doubled practically.
Yeah.
And so, she went from like 1,100 to 1,800. And so not quite doubled, excuse me, but just the astronomical hike in rent prices. So imagine that, 1,800, that's certainly a mortgage.
Yeah.
But John, you have a website, right? If there was anybody interested in seeing if they qualified, or.
Yeah, it's just www.closewithjohnowen.com. So just closewithjohnowen.com. Very
Awesome.
simple. Yeah.
So I'll put that link in the description.
Mhm.
But thank you again so much for your time,
No
John.
problem.
And we just want to inform everyone. Here's a last story in closing. She's not an associate of mine, but she is a techie.
Okay.
And so she's was talking the other day, and she said, I want to live the digital nomad life. And so she currently has a property in Oregon. And so she was looking out, just wanting to sell that, because she wanted to be a digital nomad and possibly move to Brazil and just travel the world and work, which it's fine to travel and work, but there's no shame in having a property that you can rent out and have a property manager that will manage that. And then you would have a source of generating some monthly income. So think investment, think long term. Don't let the current markets scare you. If you look over data, uh, they do just like a seismic wave, this up and down,
peaks and valleys,
constantly.
Yeah, peaks and valleys constantly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time. And John, anything else? Are you good?
That's it. I was just don't be discouraged. Just try it. Like I said, it's free to apply. It's free to get started and get a game plan, and you can definitely make it happen for yourself and your family if you really want to.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, we hope this was informative for you. Feel free to put any questions or comments that you have in the chat. But we hope that you're a little more well-informed, especially for those that may have been thinking, oh, I'm just going to go get a RV or just go get a single wide. Hopefully there's some information so that you can make a more well-rounded description. And I'll put John's info in the chat below. And you have a wonderful day. Till next time.